there everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Crochet channel. In this tutorial I will be showing you how to make these absolutely gorgeous little Kindle or e-reader covers. You can make them any size that you want, so you can obviously use them for any particular brand of e-reader. It is a really simple pattern and it's very easy to do. Once you get going, it's just one piece of crochet and then we join it together and add a lovely little button. So this is the front and then this is the back. So you can use absolutely any yarn that you like for this, any weight, any colour, and just use whatever hook size your selected yarn recommends. So this video really is a two-part thing, because first of all you need to go and use the link in the description to create the base for this project. So the base for this project is just a classic granny square. So you can use my step-by-step video by clicking the link in the description and go and make your granny square. And like I say, you can use any yarns and colours that you wish. I've just used these two, the navy and the white. She wanted a slightly sort of nautical theme for the summer. So go and make your granny square, and once you think you're getting to the point where your granny square is starting to be big enough, that's when you will come back to this video and I will show you exactly the size that it needs to be, but also how to join everything together to get it to create this cute little pouch. But go and create your granny square and then come back to this video. So I've completed what I think is going to be plenty for my Kindle. And so we're going to check this by obviously bringing over the Kindle, and you want to turn it to more of the diamond orientation. I'll just turn it over. And you want to, as you pull it up, for these sides to meet. That's a little bit too far up. Let's try that again. There we go. You want it to be quite snug. You want to have to pull for these corners to meet, because if these corners meet too easily, obviously as this pouch gets used it will loosen up a little bit and then it would become a little bit baggy, which is what we don't want. So you want to have to pull these corners to meet in the middle here, so that you know that you're getting a nice snug fit. So once you're happy with that, make sure you've still got your yarn connected at this point, and you want to leave yourself a really nice long tail. I'd say, you know, probably a good sort of 15-20 inches. It's always best to have too much than not enough, because we're going to use this tail to sew together. I haven't actually tied this off yet, so I'm just going to pull that tail through that last loop and just tighten up. Okay, so you need to decide which, if depending how you've made your granny square, mine doesn't have a front or a back, but obviously if yours does, then just take that into consideration now. I'm just going to get my darning needle and thread up this tail. Okay, just put that to one side for 1 second. And we want to start with the tail on this left hand side, okay? So that way when we bring these two corners together we can stitch. You may notice there are a few little hairs on this, and there is the suspect. So I will try and pull them off where I can. Okay, so we have left our tail and we're going to sew this together down this edge here now, so this seam, and we will sew it together. Now you can use whatever your preferred method is of doing these together. Obviously some people prefer to stitch them together, which obviously you can if you want. I'm just going to use my needle and I'm going to actually go backwards just into that corner space for starters. And then I'm going to go into the same corner space on the opposite side, and I'm just going to whip stitch all the way along. So now that I've joined my corners together, sorry, let me just so for a whip stitch I'm just going to work into top of each stitch. So you can see I've got the top of that treble, and then I'm going to work through the top of the corresponding treble on the opposite side. And pull that nice and tight, and then again on this side, the top of that next treble and the top of the treble on the other side, and pull tight. Obviously, depending on your granny square choice, if you've got chain spaces between your clusters, then you will need to work through those chain one spaces as well. But I don't have any chains between my clusters, so I'm just going to be working the top of each stitch with my very helpful helper. So you can see I'm getting the whole of the stitch each time, and I'm going to work that all the way to our edge here. I've forgotten which one I've just done, which is super helpful. So I'll keep working that and see you in a second. So at your very end stitch, so I've worked into my last stitches, I'm just going to put an extra stitch through the end. Oi, she's trying to steal my button now. Honestly, why are they so useful? So I'm just going to do an extra stitch just through that very last corner edge. And you can see that has pulled that together nice and neatly. So that is our first half done. You can see we've joined it nicely. And it's very neat, very flat, and yeah, just what we want. So now we want to repeat the process on the other side to close this up. Now it's completely up to you. You can just weave up through these stitches, which is exactly what I'm going to do, so that I don't have to have any more ends. I'm literally just going to weave this tail all the way up, just in a straight line underneath those stitches. So just be going, as you can see, like in and out. Obviously, because it's all the same colour, it will be completely hidden. Don't pull too tight because you don't want to affect your stitches that you've got, because at the moment everything is nice and neat. So by doing this, it just saves you having to join another bit of yarn to get back to the other side. We can just weave this end all the way up. There we go. So I'm back at my corner space. So you can see I'm in my corner, and now I need to bring this edge in, and we're going to join again into that chain space. And then we're ready to start down our next edge by doing the tops of each treble. So you'll have the corresponding stitches on each side, and we will start our whip stitch once more. So again, always through the whole of the stitches, and you'll work down to the other corner. So it's really nice and quick, this bit. Again, pulling these whip stitches nice and tight. And then again, just one more little extra stitch through that final corner. So there we have, sorry, let me just shift her away again. So now we have joined the ends of our pouch. And at this point, I'm just going to grab the Kindle and slide it in. Like so, because now when I fold this over, I need to work out exactly where my button needs to be. So I'm going to want to have my button around here, and luckily for me I actually have a tail here that I can use for my button to join it onto this section here. That is if the cat lets me keep it. But obviously if you've not got a a tail here, then just attach a piece of yarn in the same colour that your button needs to be joined in. Obviously you can use a contrasting colour for your button if you want, it's totally up to you. But I know that this edge here is going to reach this blue stripe here, and so I'm going to attach my button just here. And so I'll be attaching my button just here, and my button is actually the perfect size to fit through my corner chain space, so I don't need to join a loop or anything because my loop is technically already here. So now that I've finished joining these, I just need to weave this tail from our joining into the work, and then I can safely snip off. I'm happy with how secure that is, so I'm going to snip that off. And now I'm just going to thread up this tail, but like I say, you may need to attach a new piece of yarn just with a slip stitch just to where your button needs to be. I've actually forgotten exactly where it came to. I think it was there, wasn't it? Yeah. So I'm just going to thread this to the base of these stitches here, because that is where I'm going to be doing my button. So I'll just thread that down to where I need it. And then my button has absolutely tiny holes, as you can see. So my needle isn't going to fit through there. So what I'm going to do is use my tiniest crochet hook. Probably won't even pick it up. There we go. And I'm just going to use that to just grab that yarn and pull it through the hole. I'm going to wrap my yarn. It has. All I need is enough to pull up a loop, and then I can pull that through. So I've pulled that up, and then I want to pull it back down, so I'll do the opposite thing. So I will go from the base of my button, wrap it around, and pull through. There we go. And now I can thread that back onto my darning needle, and I can secure the button now that I've threaded it through. So obviously everyone has their own preferred ways for doing things like this. You just have to do it whichever way you prefer. Just want to make sure that's not twisted. And then I will come through to the back of my work and really secure this button, she says, as she drops the thread. So I'm just going to work this tail backwards and forwards a few times, just so I know that that button isn't going anywhere. And once I'm happy with that, I'll snip off that tail. There we go. So I've got my button on now, and now is the moment of truth. We just have to hope. So again, I will pop my Kindle in. I'll say my Kindle, it's not mine, it's my daughter's. And then fold this down. Put that button through. And there we go. That is your perfect little Kindle cover. And then you can pop it in your bag, take it with you wherever you want to go. But I really do hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please do let me know in the comments what you think. And also, if you do make anything like this, then also tag me on Instagram, because I love seeing what people make from my tutorials. And I like to share as well in my stories things that other people have made. So do make sure you tag me if you make something. But that is it for this one, and thank you for watching, and I will see you for another tutorial very soon. But thank you as always, and bye for now.